Welcome to Supernaut, where we explore the inner and outer dimensions of the self. Today, Veda and I are just going to talk about some changes we're making on Supernaut, new direction that we're going. So basically, it all started because we got an email at Sherman, the construction company that we work for, from the Minnesota Department of Labor, saying that construction workers face some of the highest rates of suicide and mental health challenges in any industry. So, I mean, it makes sense. The long hours, the harsh work conditions, layoff period, getting injured and addicted to opioids.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Yeah. And then retiring and wondering, what's my purpose now that my body isn't doing what my purpose has been my whole life.
Yeah.
So we spent a month writing, rewriting the grant.
Rewriting some more.
Yeah. Your first time writing a grant, what was that like?
Overwhelming. I mean, yeah, it was a really big grant too, not just like a small, local Kanabec County or something. Yeah, so it was definitely cool. I learned a lot, and it was tough for me because in my own hobbies of writing, I write very emotional, I guess,
Blunt.
things. Yeah, right. So to have to be like very professional, it kind of felt like school again, writing an essay and
Yeah. Like you're writing your own words, your own opinions.
right.
And then
Where this is like a neutral ground and
yeah.
but important. So I had to like, kind of reel myself in at times from being like, okay, they already know all of the issues. I don't need to restate these. Like, how are we going to try to fix it? So yeah, it was good. I'm glad that I had the opportunity to do that. I don't know if I ever will again. So yeah.
But yeah, you'll always be able to look back on that because it was very stressful. They were offering $750,000 to 1 to 4 companies. And at first we're like, oh, well, they're going to pick 4 companies. We should ask for a smaller amount. But then it's like, well, they're going to have to micromanage whatever company they pick. So maybe they're only going to want to pick 1 or 2.
Right.
And so then we asked for a pretty large amount. I was hoping to go all out. We were going to change That's What She Said into mental health instead of leadership in construction. We were supposed to find out on New Year's Eve.
And then we got an email and they had pushed it back. And so then it was just, biting our nails waiting. And yeah, we did not get it, but that's okay. Suicide, I don't remember what it's called. It's SAVE is the acronym. They're one of the recipients. And then Minnesota General Contractors, something. They were the other recipients. And so both of them are already very well established in mental health resources and things like that. So I'm excited to see what they do.
Yeah, we have to keep up with them and see what they end up doing. And we said the whole time, if somebody else can do something and make a bigger difference than us, then we really hope that they get it. And really hoping so, because so we aren't going to continue with That's What She Said, that podcast. We're just going to change Supernaut into more mental health and suicide struggles.
Yeah.
And why we think this podcast will be different than other podcasts talking about suicide is because it's not like experts or doctors. This is like real people, real construction workers, real anybody talking about their feelings. And they might say one thing that someone else feels and can help them not feel alone, or give a tool that worked for them. And there's so many tools out there, and every one works different for different people. So the conversation has to be ongoing.
Yeah. Yeah, and not that we're, hating by any means on any mental health professionals, obviously.
Yeah, and we still want some on.
Yes, 1,000%, but, we're not necessarily guided by them, and this is a little bit more real than therapy jargon, or just buzzwords that are common right now, which, that's...
It's just clearly not working. So, trying something new and just getting people to open up, I think, is what we've been thriving at, because people keep wanting to come on. And that's been, like I said, so such a shock. I wasn't expecting.
Right.
Especially males. I feel like we've had more males on than females even, and coming on and wanting to talk about their struggles.
Yeah, that's been the really cool thing for me, I don't have the best experience with most men in my life, most men in my family, that are close to me. So to see, people that I would not have normally come across open up and get really, really raw is fun. Yeah.
So we didn't talk about it on your episode when you came on, but you have struggled with suicidal ideations. Can you tell us about them?
Yeah. I know we talked about it a little bit before the episode. I'll actually go into stuff that I didn't say before. Throughout high school, throughout really all of my life, up until like graduation, I was like, I don't have any mental health problems, you know, and most of my friends didn't either, or at least they didn't talk about it. But I just felt, I don't know, I kind of had this like holier than thou attitude about it, and but with like also just confidence, and you know, was happy that I don't struggle with that.
Well, you did say on your episode that pride was one of your
Yes,
things, so that makes
a
sense.
little prideful, yeah. I've reeled it in since then. So yeah, throughout high school, I was like, I don't struggle with that, and I'm happy about that. I did have some, you know, people close to me that really did struggle, and I just couldn't place myself in their own shoes. I just didn't know what that was like, and I've had family members that, like, especially on my dad's side, that have really struggled with depression, schizophrenia, anxiety, all these really fun things, and I just felt like I had kind of dodged a bullet. And then graduation happened. I graduated in 2020, so COVID. It was a very turbulent time that nobody really knew what was going on. I was still being social with my friend group, and everything was fine. I kind of fell into an eating disorder. Luckily, it didn't get as bad as it could have. So that was throughout the summer, and then as we got into fall, all of my friends went to college, and I, like, a week before I was supposed to move up to Duluth, the U of M had said that they were putting on restrictions that you can go to school and stay in the dorm, but you basically have to stay in your dorm. You can't leave, or you can do online school, and that's what I chose, because then I would still have a vehicle and could work and save money, you know, not being in the dorms. And so I was here, and everybody else left, and I felt very lonely. And now I know that I struggle really hard with seasonal depression, but at the time I wasn't aware of that. So I think that also had a lot to do with it. But yeah, I got really sad. I watched a lot of Grey's Anatomy and slept rather than going to class or doing my homework. And in January of 2021, I don't know that I would say it was an attempt, but I drove out to Governor Knowles State Park just to go for a hike because I thought that would make me feel better. I don't know, but I remember as I was like walking along the riverbank, I was like, well, I could just jump in and I wouldn't be able to get out, so it would be a for sure way of, you know, not regretting it or doing something rash.
And how long at this point had you been thinking? It was since fall?
Yeah. I remember there was a night that I had gone over to a friend's house, and I, you know, got there but stayed in my car and called Nevaeh, my best friend, outside. And so she came and sat in my truck with me, and I was like, I am not doing okay. And I don't really remember the details of that conversation and what exactly happened afterwards. I mean, there was no intervention. She didn't go to my mom that I know of and say, you know, Veda's not doing okay. Like, I didn't say that I had a plan or anything, but I do remember that. So that was probably November. I don't think there was snow on the ground. Yeah, so it just kind of snowballed, you know, as it got colder and colder.
And you were like thinking about different ways that you could.
Yeah, I was, sorry, trigger warning, this might get a little graphic, but, and some people might relate to this, but when you have that thought in the back of your head, when you're thinking, when you're not acting super rashly and just, you know, do something about it, you go through all of the different ways that you know of that you could end your own life. And I think a lot of people think of a gun right away. And for me, I was like, well, we don't own guns, and I don't really know anybody. I don't know how to acquire one. And that one has such a high risk of not working, but you still severely injure yourself, which I did not want to deal with. Overdosing, I didn't know what medications we had in the house that could achieve that for me, and I didn't want to. My big thing was I absolutely under no circumstances wanted my brothers to find me. So that one was ruled out. Carbon monoxide poisoning was ruled out because I would have been at home. And was there another one that I had said?
hanging.
Oh, yeah. That one I also just didn't. None of them, which is, it's such a.
We work in a construction industry, but we're not like, I don't know.
I'm
wouldn't
still
know how.
new to this. Yeah, I was, yeah.
I wouldn't know, like, logistically how that would work. I don't know if that's the right word, but.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and it's kind of, I laugh now because obviously we use humor as a coping mechanism, but I'm like, I really had to, rule out what would work and what wouldn't. And I mean, it's just, to me, kind of funny that you're going to overthink something that's so, like, I don't know. So, yeah, it was more of a, like, I feel like a burden.
Who did you feel like a burden to?
My family, my friends, my ex. I mean, anybody that knew me in high school would probably say that I'm pretty different now from who I was then. Was
there a consciousness in your brain of this isn't true? Where are these thoughts coming from? Or it just seemed so real of like.
It felt really real. It did. So it was kind of, there was a moment where I was like, whoa, okay, this is poor mental health. That you do have it. You were not spared, Veda. Come on. Like, yeah, you're not holier than thou. But I guess prior to all of this, go back in time a little bit to right when COVID had started and school got shut down, because that happened in the beginning of March. So there were like 3 months of still finishing high school, but at home. And I had walked down our stairs, and we have a foyer, and then if you turn left, you go into the kitchen. And my mom was sitting at the kitchen table during, I don't know, middle of the day, doing school with my brothers, and I was like, Mom, I have like a pit in my stomach, and it won't go away. What is this? Like, I feel nervous all the time. And she was like, that's anxiety. I'm like, oh, okay, this is new for me. I've never felt this way before. And so that was kind of my first, like, maybe you do have some mental health stuff, but I didn't really equate that to mental health. It was more of just like I don't know, a feeling. To me, it's like depression and suicidal ideation and things like that.
And that could be trauma too, because listening to the book, The Mountain Is You, I believe it's called, just today. And she was saying that if you're angry and you wanna yell at somebody, but you don't yell at them, you like hold it back. That's a good thing, but also then it's stored in your cells.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And now that was 2020, so it was 6 years ago. I have severe anxiety, severe, crippling. I reflected on my life leading up to that moment of walking into the kitchen and, telling that to my mom. And I was like, no, you've been anxious your whole life. Like, you used to cry if you missed the bus and had to be dropped off at school and walk into class, and everybody would turn and look at you. Or I was big on timeliness. I don't know. There were just things that, said, no, you've had anxiety your whole life. It's just manifesting differently now. So, yeah, that was, I don't know, kind of a rude awakening, but mental health doesn't spare anybody. We all experience it in some fashion, and that's okay. It's perfectly normal.
Yeah, and I mean, pain can be there and struggle is there to help you grow and help you learn and help you realize how strong you are. But obviously, we're not coping well as a society.
Right.
So we got to figure out some changes. Okay, so back to you're on this walk.
Yeah, so I don't know why. I could not tell you what day it was, like why I went there, no idea. But I went to Governor Knowles, and again, it was January. It was cold. Not as cold as it's been like this past weekend, but not warm, not real hiking weather. And I went around evening time, which, I mean, obviously the sun sets way earlier, in the wintertime than it does in the summertime. So I remember the sun was starting to set. And yeah, I was walking, like, I guess not on the bank of the river because it's kind of a hill down there, but I was on the east side of the river and just looking at the frozen, ginormous river. And yeah, it felt like that would have been the right thing to do, not at home. Nobody would have, nobody would have been traumatized. None of my family members would have been traumatized by seeing me. and I would have been in a position where I can't undo, my choice.
So do you have any idea what stopped you?
I don't. I just didn't. I just didn't do it. I just didn't walk down, through the trees down to the water. Would I have even been able to break through the ice? I don't know. Was it maybe at the time it felt like a smart idea, like a surefire way, but I don't know that it would have been.
Mm-hmm. You probably would have been like, take a rock, you're like trying to break the ice, and you get so many endorphins from
trying to do
from
right.
exercising.
Where you're like, I'm too tired,
yeah.
I'm giving up now. Yeah. No. So I didn't, but something that I talk about somewhat frequently with my mom now is that, so I was walking north. So like I parked south, walked north, and then at some point turned around and came back. And got back to my car, and my mom called me and was like, I need you to pick up Chinese food on the way home. And I was so mad. There's this book that I used to read as a kid, and if she listens to this, she'll laugh, because it's called I Was So Mad, and it was one of my favorite childhood books. But I was so mad at her because she hates Chinese food, and it made no sense to me why she wanted me to go pick up Chinese food. She never eats. It was the strangest thing. It's truly so strange. But my anger came more from like, I'm doing so unwell right now, and you have no idea. You have no idea what I was just going through mentally over the last hour, 2 hours, being here at this state park. And now you want me to go pick up Chinese food? Like, how dare you? Now I'm like, you're so dramatic, Veda. Get over yourself. It's fine. Everything's fine. You're still alive. Like, yeah. And now I'm more open about it, but...
What changed the next day, and after that, how did you get better? How did you stop thinking like that?
I really don't remember.
Maybe the season's changing even.
Yeah, and now that I look back on it, I'm like, okay, you definitely had SAD, seasonal affective disorder, or seasonal depression, which I, have experienced since then too, every winter. I mean, we live in Minnesota. It's pretty bleak here in the wintertime, and I'm not, in high school, I was on the ski team, so I think that definitely helped, being, out with friends in nature, exercising. So it didn't affect me as much in high school, and going to hockey games or basketball games, things like that. But
loneliness is so real.
Yeah, I don't have very many friends, and like I said, everybody left, around that time too. So it was just, there were a lot of really big changes for me from spring of 2020 into spring of 2021. But I don't remember anything exact of, okay, I feel better. I didn't go to the doctor. I didn't get put on medication. I just kind of suffered through it. And now, and have felt this way for a few years, but I'm like, I will never let myself get to that place again, because I've done it once and got through it. I know that, that was my rock bottom. And I definitely have still gotten sad, and, sometimes the thoughts just creep in there, and they're like, everything would just be easier if you weren't here, for you, especially now being an adult and dealing with real, like, bills and, scary things. It's, yeah.
That was what I was going to ask, is there a risk of this happening again, of these thoughts coming that far? But if you're determined for them not to, why are you so sure that they won't?
Right. I'm not. I'm determined for them not to, in my, healthiest, most, mentally well self. I know that I have the strength to not get down there again, but yeah, sometimes it hits, and it's frustrating, I would say, more than anything, because it's like you're fighting, kind of like the, angel and devil thing. Like, one side of you is like, no, everything's fine, life is beautiful, life is great, like, it's worth living, and the other side is like, yeah, but then you don't have to deal with all the, aspects of humanity that are annoying, like paying bills and seeing scary things, and, just all of that, and loss, and,
Yeah, I'm lucky enough that I haven't had it get that extreme, but one thing that I usually joke about but actually mean is, like, when I'm driving, and I'll be like, God, I just want to run into a tree or to a ditch so that I can be in a hospital for a couple weeks and not have to pay bills.
Yeah.
Or have any responsibilities.
Right.
Nobody's going to expect so much from me.
Yeah. And I think...
Which is probably just me expecting so much from me, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I think that might be more of what it is too. I don't know, our brains are really powerful and they can do some really, cool things and also some really scary things. Like, even somewhat recently, there was like a day where I was just really sad and felt, things would just be, but I'm also like, no, you have family and you want to be old. You eventually want to be an old person and live a full life, like, I won't let myself be gypped of a full life because of me. Like, if
so stubborn.
Yeah, truly. Yeah. Pride really is my, if it's at the hands of someone else, fine, there's nothing I can do about it, but no, I'm not gonna, won't let it happen. So, yeah. And to, with postpartum depression, that's something that I witnessed a lot with my mom, and as she had my 3 little brothers, and Bodhi, the youngest, definitely, she went through it really, really bad. And I won't talk about her experience because it's not my experience to talk about, but suicidal thoughts, as some people might know, is a really, really big part of bad postpartum depression. I mean, it doesn't have to be severe. It could, even be mild, and that's something that people experience. And I don't remember where I was going with that. Shoot. Yeah, but witnessing... She didn't talk about it as it was happening, at least not with me, because I was still a child, and, it's also tough to talk about your mental health. Like, it's vulnerability, and it's frightening, and you don't want to be embarrassed or be judged, so I can understand why a lot of people keep it to themselves. And it was really hard for me when I did call out my best friend that day to come into the car with me and talk about it. Like, my best friend, who has seen me through almost all stages of my life, it's a scary thing. But with my mom, after seeing what that can do to you, not even her talking about it, just seeing, like, that's another thing that is just very impactful. And now that I've, come out of my own rock bottom, I'm like, okay, I am determined to still live, because...
See it from a different angle,
right,
and understand it in a different way.
Yeah.
And that's why we're so passionate about keeping Supernaut going, because we've been so blown away by the people that have wanted to come on and talk about this, which is the hardest thing to talk about.
Yeah.
Like, getting into the most vulnerable parts
right,
of yourself for anybody to see.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm somebody who's very open. I think more open than most. I don't have a lot of shame in that aspect. I'll tell anybody anything. I'm an open book, and not a lot of people are like that, especially up here, and especially men, about mental health. So it truly has been such a privilege for me to, just work behind the camera, but I get to hear all of these conversations. And I mean, a lot of our episodes aren't very heavily edited. It's, maybe just an awkward pause here or there, or a bathroom break, but yeah, it's still really fun to, see it live, and for people to feel comfortable.
When people are extra nervous, it's like, we can edit anything out. If you leave the next day and are like, I wish I hadn't said that, I don't want that part in there, like, of course we're going to take it out. We're not going to release something that you wish you hadn't said. Those are your words. You own them.
Right. We're not here to exploit anybody.
Nobody's been like, oh, I wish I hadn't told that story. Take that out.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It feels good to talk about it. And a lot of people are saying, oh, my episode ended up helping my cousin or so-and-so, and all this. So
yeah, it's been, there's so many words that I can't even think of to describe it. But yeah, it truly, I feel privileged to be able to listen and learn, and grow with these people, because I'm only 23. I think I've lived a lot of life in my 23 years, but I still hopefully have a lot of life to live. And so to, meet these people who are maybe, at the middle or nearing the end of their life and get their perspective on things, it's,
Okay, so I want to get into a little bit of why I started podcasting, and, then go into why we're switching over. So I didn't ever think I would. It wasn't a plan. We built this studio, and my dad always told me that I had an unclear speaking voice, So I just never thought that was something that I could do. But two people at work wanted me to do a family business one. So they were like pumping me up, saying, no, you can definitely do it. So I spent a couple of days thinking, well, wow, I actually would have a whole team behind me if I wanted to do that. So what would I actually want to talk about? And like spirituality came up instantly. Just my favorite thing to talk about, always has been. And then like sobriety. Well, I was only drinking once a month, every other month at that point. So I'm like, maybe if we talk about sobriety, I would quit drinking completely. And that's becoming like a thing. Maybe I can find people to come on and talk about that. And then I was trying to think of another S word. For a while, it was salads. I was like, just going to talk about healthy
Really?
eating. Yep. But like, I noticed that the S theme just kept coming up. And like all my other favorite things in the world too, like, I mean, Sherman, where I work, and we were started in 1976. My favorite place in the world is Snowshoe Lake. Who got me into podcasting was Simon Sinek, like 2 more S's. There's just S's everywhere. And it is the most common, most words in the English language start with an S. So kind of cheating, but like so many things.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But the signs are still there.
Yeah, signs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then like finding this logo, I wanted an S that was like yin yang kind of shaped, and I wanted it a perfect circle. And Stefan, the guy who made it, brilliant artist, he like we were arguing over if it could be perfect circle or not, because he kind of came up with it. I kind of gave him the idea, and then he designed it. And it's funny how once he showed me what it would look like if it was a perfect circle, it just didn't look right. So it's like, okay, that's another thing to let go of, which has became a big theme of the show too. So then it was spectrum of self, because I wanted to be able to talk about everything. But yeah, with everybody coming on, like 90% of the people coming on wanting to talk about mental health, it's just wild that the word suicide starts with S also. So it fits the theme. And the thing is, YouTube doesn't share posts that use the word suicide in it.
Yeah. I think it's because of Logan Paul. And maybe you and Cody and I have talked about this, I'm not sure, but I think that is why.
Yeah, tell the story again.
God, I don't even know, 2015, 2016 maybe? I'm not sure, but I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with who Logan Paul is. If you're not, he's a YouTuber. Now he's like a
boxer?
MMA fighter. I don't even know. They're an odd family, but I digress. But at the time, he was a vlogger, and I actually watched him and his brother for a little while on YouTube, and he had gone to Japan with a group of people, and they went into the suicide forest and came across somebody who had recently committed suicide. And like what I've gathered is that the cops or whomever in Japan frequently goes into this very famous suicide forest and checks for people. And so this man had not been there for very long, and they filmed it, him hanging there, and put it on YouTube. And I watched the video when it came out before it was taken down, and so it was this huge controversy.
And YouTube got in a lot of trouble for it.
Right.
And
yeah, so I would gather that that's probably why they hinder things that have to do with that topic, which is very understandable, because I'm sure that that was very traumatic for a lot of people, and definitely not the right thing to do on Logan's part, which I know he's made apology videos and blah, 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 but yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
That's so disrespectful, but that's not what this is, this is not that. Everything, opposite of that. We're not glorifying it. That's, I think, the biggest thing is we're not here to glorify anybody's story, anybody's experience, just the topic of, mental health and suicide. And
right, because when we were talking about it with That's What She Said, it was like, okay, we're going to have to be sensitive with that word, but like at this point, I'm just over being sensitive with that word. Like, I keep hearing more and more stories in our community, even just in the last week.
Right.
Just found out about my best friend, close family member, so I'm done hiding, done not using that word. We need to talk about it, because not talking about it isn't working.
Yeah, it's an epidemic, truly. And I kind of said this to you before we started recording for my generation, and I don't know how many people around my age listen to this podcast, but for those who don't know, Amanda Todd, I would say that she was probably in that like elder millennial age range. She was like 15, 16, maybe, I'm not sure. But she got really famous on YouTube because she made this video, which then kind of, it became, I guess, what I would call a trend at the time of, she had like written out a bunch of stuff on note cards and was like showing them to the camera. You know, it was probably a 10-minute long video talking about how she was sad and didn't want to be here anymore. And then she ended up killing herself. And like I said, it then became a trend where I don't necessarily know it was a trend to actually, you know, end your own life, but a lot of people started kind of doing it in that same note card way. And so I think just my generation, and especially how much violence is in this world all the time, we're not as affected by it, but it's important to talk about. It's not going to go away, you know. It's unfortunately not going to go away ever, but I think the less stigma that we can, you know, have surrounding it, the better.
Yeah, exactly. So we are just going to go all out on that. And that's going to be a big theme. I mean, still sticking with spirituality and sobriety. And another reason why I started the podcast was because I kind of felt like an outsider with my friends. I still have all the same friends, but I wanted to find more people that were into the things that I was in. So I wanted to shout out quick to the friends that I've made now since starting. My friend Sheila, I'm going to have to post a picture right here of the spread that she made. She invited me over. We had never met before. And we meditated together, and she just had the most beautiful setup for me because she is interested in this stuff, and reconnected with a friend from high school, Amanda, and Adam, who was on last week, been becoming good friends with. So since we didn't get the grant and this has taken all my money, like I was okay not continuing on with the podcast. I just wanted to try it for a year. I wanted to do the hard thing, and I felt pulled in. Like there was no option not to do it. I just couldn't stop thinking about it. More and more reasons came up to do it, but we have decided to start a GoFundMe. So this episode is coming out at the exact same time that this GoFundMe is coming out. And of course, this money is not for me to put in my pocket. This is my hobby. This is an excuse to talk to people and make new friends. And now to help this situation in society that has been so heartbreaking just to see all over the place. So every penny will just go towards production costs. We clearly aren't big enough to be advertising, and to make money off YouTube, you need like 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours watched in the past year. So yeah, we don't really care about that. We just care about like at least helping our community. Yeah. And like letting people come on to have this healing opportunity. Right. And everybody's always like, oh, why is it so expensive to podcast? Like, yeah, anybody can just set up a mic and do it for pennies, basically. 1,000%. But I got into podcasting in 2020 by watching it on YouTube. And, like, I barely watch TV anymore. I just watch podcasts on TV. And so I really, really wanted it to be visual. And so that's, you know, kind of what makes it expensive. And Cody, the editor, is very expensive because he's very good. It's not easy to make it sound as good as it does and look as good as it does. And to be able to give the guests the option that we can cut anything out, right, you know, and make it still look good. So, and then there's paying you for the engineering, there's software fees, subscription fees, platform fees. Like, luckily, we don't have to pay any rent for this, right, you know. That's like the saving grace. But I don't want to scare anybody from starting their own podcast because, yeah, if you edit yourself, if you upload, if you make clips, you do social media, everything yourself, like, it can be so cheap. And all of my friends and family, like, you know, thought it was so stupid of me to spend all this money, but I just couldn't not. Like I said, like, it was just pulling me to do it. And now I feel like I know why. It's, you know, I have fun talking about the spirituality. I'm growing so much from talking about sobriety, but this is needed. This is like bigger than me. Definitely. I think Supernaut wanted to be made. In the book Big Magic that I gave you, Liz Gilbert talks about all the different artists out there that the art has fallen into them. My favorite story is this girl, and I hate that I don't know her name, but she was a poet a long time ago. She'd be out like in the field haying, and she would hear a poem come. she could hear it in the wind coming, and she would have to run to her house as fast as she could to start writing down the poem. And if she didn't get there fast enough, the poem would go by. So I think art is a live, ever-moving, ever-changing thing. And I think maybe this is why Supernaut wanted to be started, to help people,
Definitely.
at least in our community, be able to talk
At least
about
in our
these types
community.
of things.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, that's been the coolest thing is, yeah, maybe it's people that I, run into at Quick Trip or Coburn's or, at a basketball game when I go watch my brothers or, whatever, but to be able to know their story and not in a gossipy way, we live in a small town. That's a big thing. Like, everybody knows everybody's dirt. So, it's...
But to have empathy for that person.
Exactly, yes.
So when you see them struggling, you want to help them more. And then that's just creating oxytocin all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, you get oxytocin, the happy chemical, anytime you do something nice for somebody, somebody does something nice for you, or you witness something. And every time that you can have more empathy for somebody, the more you want to help them.
Yeah, and it's just ridding the judgment, I think, within my own... Not that I by no means am I trying to make this about myself, but when I was talking about anxiety, I have social anxiety, not general anxiety, social anxiety. So I'm often very much on guard all the time, anytime I'm in public. And so I find myself judging others the way that I think they would judge me. And I'm like, no, Veda, because really, I don't judge you.
Yeah.
Like, my first thought is yes, and then I'm like, no, you don't care. Like,
we're just, everybody's a mirror.
Love and light, yes. And so, to see people who I maybe would have had, judgments on and be able to know their story, it's been really... You have
a new perspective
fun.
now,
right.
And all it is perspectives.
Yeah. That probably makes me sound like such a bitch, and I don't mean to sound that way, but...
No, there's nobody out there that doesn't feel that way and can't relate to that.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's been really cool, and I know you and I are, two big believers of what's meant for us is meant for us. And, if this is the end of Supernaut, then that's the end of Supernaut. And we're not, here to exploit it and make it something that it's not. But, we feel that this is important. And again, it's if we could do this and just do it for free, obviously we would do, we would not want any monetary, assets from this. But unfortunately, that's just not how it works. And if you're, unable to donate, that's okay. Listen, watch, share it,
Share it with the people that you think might need it, and subscribe. Pushing the subscribe button is what matters. But yeah, I mean, so many people take their own lives and nobody suspected it of them. So your blue collar people who the state says is struggling the worst, like, they might need to hear this and they might not want to talk about it. So sharing it with people that come to your mind, you might not think that they need the help, but if they come to your mind, that might be a sign, so just send it.
Right.
Another S word.
Another S. Now all I can think of is the S's. Yeah. And for me too, like, if you don't want to donate or you don't feel comfortable, like, but it would make you feel better to maybe donate to a mental health organization, by all means, please do that. Like, we're not here to just sit and ask for money. That's not our intentions at all. It's because we want to continue the conversations. And I'm sure there's a million mental health podcasts out there. And I'm sure they're all just as great. This is just what we're passionate about. And I think just based on my viewing of how many reactions and responses and comments you get every Sunday or Monday, when you post the new episode on your Facebook, like, it's been really fun to see everybody's excitement about it and, that they care and that it helped them in some way, even if they weren't a guest. Yeah, I think it has really impacted our community in a good way, and I hope that it can only continue to do so. Yeah.
Because there's so many good organizations to donate to. So, I mean, or, so many good causes. This is just the one that we are feeling called to.
Right.
Like, there's nothing we can do about it. It is asking us to help. That reminds me, I do want to shout out Robert Fasthorse. He was on a couple months ago now, but he is starting, or he has a video game page on Facebook called Pony Boy. And he was writing me about it today. He said, I finally found something where I can possibly do good in this messed up world. And he said that he's like getting crazy big hits on it already.
Wow.
So that's why he's feeling confident about it. But all of the money of the creator code revenue will be donated to charity. But the cool thing is he is going to let his followers decide each month where the money goes to. He's going to do like a voting thing. So I think that's so great
Cool.
too, because then you can do a wide variety of things.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, and maybe we cut this out, I don't know. But if we were, to get big enough that we could make money, off of the platforms that we're on, to also give back to the, community that we're talking about here. Like,
Yes.
that is the purpose of this. It is more of a hobby.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a passion, but I guess I would say it's more of a hobby than intended to be a job.
Yeah. 100%. It's just about having those great conversations every week that light us up.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about the coalition?
Yeah. So obviously we both work for Sherman, and within this mental health grant that led me to finding 1.5 million resources, within the mental health sector. And so part of our proposal had to do with the counties surrounding us, and so we found a coalition. We found a couple of them. Sorry, I keep bumping the mic. But the Pick 'em Up Coalition, I guess we joined them officially, and we've only gone to one meeting. We'll go to more, but they provided us with free gun locks, and so if anybody follows the Sherman account, you may have seen our gun lock video, which I was elated to see what great responses it got. I mean, so many likes and comments and shares, which the likes and comment, I mean, not from
I've never gotten so many DMs.
I got right. It was so cool to see. It was like wildfire spread throughout Mora and all these people that I know that, so that was really fun. And fun in the sense of like, we're making an impact. We're letting people know about this resource that we have, not just we went viral, that's not the purpose of this. So
that's the funny thing too of like getting the grant. Like, we're so excited to get the grant, but then there's such this part of you that's like, it just sucks that this grant needs to be, you know what I mean? To be excited to get money to talk about this, like, is also so hard. Yeah,
which to me, I mean, when I found out that we didn't get it, I very solemnly walked up to Beth and was like,
and your eyes were glazed over, so I was like, and I knew you were going to tell me something, and it was like, are they glazed over out of like excitement, out of like, I couldn't tell for those couple of split seconds. And
I probably would have screamed. You probably would have thought I was being murdered here in the studio if we would have gotten it, but so we didn't. And to me though, again, you and I are very much of the same, like, what's meant for us is meant for us. So it's, obviously disappointing, but not the end of the world that we didn't get it. These two, other programs are definitely better equipped than us, I think, to talk about these things. And that's just what was meant to happen. And now the thing that I appreciate about it is that one was specific to mental health in construction, and now we don't have to just be in that, it could be anybody. It could be healthcare or just blue collar, of any capacity,
literally anybody,
or anybody. You could be, you could work an office
that's kind
job.
of who I think we're going to target. So that's the thing too. If you can't donate, it will help so much if you just think of a company or a person that we can send the GoFundMe to, because you think they're going to be passionate about it. I mean, that's going to help just as much, if not more.
Right.
If you can donate $10, $15, $20, but a company that could donate $100, like, my gosh, that's going to be helpful.
And it's just to keep the conversation going. It's for nothing more than that.
And we're asking for enough to keep us going for a few months. So then, you'll have the option again to decide, oh, this is going well. They're doing what they said they're going to do. I'm going to give more, or I'm going to try harder to find people to donate. You can see how we're not asking for a ton of money, just enough to keep going. We'll ask every few months and see, where the wind takes us.
Yeah. And we're in tough times right now. Like, that is not at all lost on us. So again, if you can't donate, that's okay. Just share an episode, like an episode, subscribe, do something just to engage with us. Or again, if you would feel better donating to some mental health organization of some capacity, do that. Like, we don't want to, make anybody feel guilty for not, or, just, not here to be greedy by any means. It's
hard to come on here and ask for help, you know? but there's a lot of harder things out there.
Yeah.
So we're just
know our intentions are good. That is, that's where we're at.
And we're excited to prove that. And construction, I mean, I grew up around it. It's when we got that email, it was so hard to read, but it clicked right away of why it is hard for people.
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, for somebody who might not, like, I wanted to go to school for social work, which not specifically for mental health, but obviously that's a big part of, the social work umbrella. My mom, throughout my preteen years was going to school to be a LADC, a drug and alcohol abuse counselor, and now works at a treatment center. I also worked there before coming here. So I've been more familiar with that, just the science behind it, the logistics of poor mental health and blah, blah, blah. But when you don't know the, real stuff behind it, the why, the how, like my mom talks about ACE scores all the time and how it's a questionnaire that kind of determines where you would be at in your adult years as far as mental health.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. I'll have to have her give me a little bit more information on it because I don't want to say anything that's not true. But just being in a rural area with such a huge presence of blue-collar workers specifically, I think as we did research for this grant, it, like you said, it clicks. You're like, oh, that's why that person's like that. Or, oh, these are the factors that can go into, why some people behave this way and why they might need a little bit more, just love and care. Like, especially with men,
Well, because men have the hardest time being vulnerable.
Right.
That's how they were raised. They were told not to be.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Of course. And then when they're all in one location, they're just going to keep repeating that and breeding that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And we just want everybody to feel better. That's our purpose here, Again, not to exploit anybody, like, to just see how many people it's affected already in such a positive way. I only want to continue that. And again, especially in our community, which has been hit, I think, pretty hard with mental health struggles and,
So last week for a networking group that I'm a part of, I did something called a strategic map. So shout out Linda. She's a fan of the show. She helped me with it. So it's kind of like writing out what your goals are for the year, what they were for the past year. And afterwards, I was feeling so insecure about how, like, I used the word connection so much. I'm like, I want to connect people, connect this, connect that. And it was funny. Well, just insecure of, like, that's what everybody wants, to connect people. Like, I wanted something more unique. Like, my ego was just, like, totally getting in the way. And then I finished the book Super Communicators by Charles Duhigg, and it was all about this Harvard study that lasted 80 years. It was, like, multiple generations. And it was about happiness and what do the happiest people have in common. It was connections. So then I started to realize God made a lot of people want to help people connect because it's such an important thing in humanity. So now I'm just going to embrace it and know that I've always wanted to connect people, from having parties when I was growing up to, like, my favorite thing is to introduce friends to each other, because I'm like, this person's amazing, you have to meet this person. And, like, my close friends will know exactly what I'm talking about. I do it all the time. Like, if I like somebody, I want everybody in the world to know them.
Yeah.
So connections is my thing, and this is, like, a way to bring people together.
You've done that with me for almost every single guest. So I think you're succeeding. And
And another thing I wanted to talk about, because it was brought up a few times in the last couple of months for me, and I brought it up to a friend today, is this Hawaiian prayer. It's the Ho'oponopo prayer. Oh, I probably did not say it right, but
you got it.
Yeah, it's an ancient Hawaiian practice for reconciliations, forgiveness, and healing, usually used to mend relationships with oneself and others. It's just a simple prayer, a mantra of four phrases. I am sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. If you think about somebody and say that over 4 times, and I just have to say, like, it's magic. It has worked for me in a few different relationships. And, I don't know if it's just the magic of regulating the nervous system and the magic of forgiveness itself, but I think you can use it in any situation. So that just got brought up today, so I just wanted to bring it up. There's other podcasts out there that explain it better than I. am. There's studies out there about it, of how it, like, just saying it can affect people that they're not even near, you know? So, have you heard of it? Your mom knew about it. I brought it up to her.
Yeah. When you said it in English, I was like, yeah, that rings a bell. I've heard of that before. I can't discern where I've heard it before, but yeah.
Yeah. So it's magical. There's something in those words.
Maybe it's just because I spent a lot of last week working on clips, but that kind of reminds me of that one section from Amy's episode about the I forgive you. Yeah, I think.
I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you.
Yeah, I think just within mental health, like, you do have to love yourself, you know? You can't, like, just... You can try to just surround yourself with people who love you, you know, and that's definitely part of it and can definitely better your life. But, you know, you do still have to find that love for yourself. And I think forgiving yourself, too. Like, we're humans. We make mistakes. I've done some really shitty things in my life and, you know, would love to forgive those that I've hurt in person. Have I been given an opportunity yet? Not necessarily, but I don't beat myself up about it. Sometimes I think about it at night and cringe hard, but
Yeah,
it's okay.
but the words that we use train our brains. So when you think about it and you're thinking about those people, if you use those words, you're going to heal the inside of yourself.
Yeah, well, and even just putting that good energy out into the, you know, like, directing good energy towards them.
Yes.
It's going to do something. Yeah.
100%. And we're going to talk about energy a lot on here. We're going to talk about sobriety and spirituality because they're all linked to mental health.
Yeah.
Anything new that comes out that's linked to mental health, we're going to talk about it. And so far, it seems like those are the things that help the most.
Everybody has their own form of faith, even atheists, you know, like, you don't have to be Christian, you don't have to be Buddhist, you know, you can be anything. And as long as it's, you wholly believe what you wholly believe, that's all you need. Yeah, you don't need to have a whole congregation.
And if you don't wholly believe in something, then, like, find little bits and pieces until you do figure out what you believe, because that's purpose. And I think that's what people struggle with, is not having a purpose.
Yeah. Even during my really low, you know, point during 2020 and 2021 is when I really fell into spirituality hard. And you know, my mom, she's always been very spiritually inclined rather than religion, organized religion. So it wasn't new, but I kind of forgot about it for a while. And that's definitely been something that has helped me a lot. I mean, there's times where I'm like, you know, is anything real? I don't know. Like, you know, why am I believing in something that I don't know is real? But, you know, then 10 minutes later, you're like, no, it's real. It's real to me, and that's what matters. Yeah.
Love that. Okay, so you got a couple Substacks to talk about?
Yeah. So, I have my own Substack. It's called Sacred Writing. For those that don't know, Substack is a writing platform. I guess I'd call it like a blog. It's kind of like a cross between, like, Twitter and a blog, because you can post, like, little notes or pictures or videos, you know, but mostly people use it for writing. They'll form their own publication. So I did it just under 2 years ago, and I don't have many posts on there. I have a lot in my drafts, but not a lot published. And so in my own venture of doing that, I have also started one for Supernaut. And I linked the podcast to it because you can do that, which I think is really cool. So you can listen on there. But I think my hope for this second season, so to say, of Supernaut is that you and I both write whenever we can, whenever we want to, whether it be about, you know, an upcoming episode, a past episode, or just writing to write, because I think it's a really great platform. There's a lot of good energy and positivity and acceptance of those. You know, like, you don't have to have 1 million subscribers. You can just write to write because you like to do it. And it's been a platform that I've really fallen in love with in lieu of social media, because I think social media can really bring us down, especially with what's happening right now. My most recent post, which I did 2 days ago, was about what's happening in Minnesota. And I'm not going to say too much about it on here. If you want to read it, please go read it. I know not a lot of people from, where we're at are going to agree with me on that, and, that it is what it is, but I think it's important still to talk about it. So, yeah, if you want to subscribe, please do. I would love more subscribers, and I need to really get on myself about writing more consistently because I enjoy it, not for anybody else's, benefit. It's just something that I love to do, and I've been feeling not very passionate lately, I think.
Well, it's winter, and it's a harsh one.
Yeah, and just, the world is tough right now. So if we can bring some light, I think that'll, boost everybody's spirits a little bit. But I think doing a Substack for the podcast could also be a really cool way to, connect with people and maybe inspire some other people to start their own. I know Adam, who we just had on, has his own. I haven't read his post yet, but I'm really excited to when we're done here. Yeah. Yeah, he was really excited to hear that I had one. So it's just a really great community on there. And, yeah, I talk about it all the time.
Yeah, that reminds me of a quote I heard today from Albert Camus. He said, "In the depth of winter, I finally learned that within me there lay an invincible summer." And I think that goes into the mystical stuff of, letting go and being in the present moment and being able to find the peace at any moment. I mean, what's his name did it? Gandhi or whoever in prison, he found happiness. And so we all can, even in this horrid winter.
Very bleak time. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I've found myself kind of getting down on myself for not writing, and then just I'll have moments of, passion and write a whole thing. And so I think doing whatever you can to just to kind of give some advice maybe right now is doing whatever that brings you joy, as much as you can. And don't force yourself, because that's not going to make you feel better, because then you're just going to be guilty. You're going to feel guilty about not doing the things when you don't have the capacity to do them. But go easy on yourself. Minnesota's tough. You and I didn't leave the house for 4 days.
Right.
It was
That was wonderful.
negative 20s. Yeah.
It was the first time I think Sherman's ever closed because it was too cold.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm sure. So yeah, okay, well, thanks for listening. And again, subscribing and hitting that button is important to us, sharing with people that you think this could benefit, and letting us know ideas. We'd love feedback. We'd love to hear anything we're doing wrong, anything you'd like to see more of.
Yeah.
We want to know. Sometimes an episode will come out and I won't hear much, but then I'll hear from other people that somebody liked it, and it's like, oh, wow, I really wish they could have told me. Not because I need that ego boost, but because I just want to know what people are liking so I know what to do more of.
Right.
Doing it for ourselves, of course. I would never talk about something I didn't want to talk about just because other people wanted me to talk about it. But
feedback is good.
In order to keep going and have more people on, I have to know what people like.
Yeah. Too, something that I just wanted to say, we do have social media. It was a rough start for the social media for Supernaut, so I'm sorry. But over the coming weeks, we'll definitely have more of a presence on there. I know a lot of people have followed us already. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, which has been great. And so I just want to use that too as a platform, not as just, none of this is like, please follow us. And, we just care about the numbers. That's not the purpose of it.
But
it's
how
just to
are
get
we supposed to get the word out?
Exactly. Yes. So there'll be, little clips from episodes that we found to be very powerful, or if anybody else has any suggestions for, moments of an episode that really hit them hard, or,
Yeah, I gotta send you. Jody sent me a part of Taylor's episode that she's like, this should be a clip.
Yeah.
It's so great. See, that's what we need, because I have a very demanding job, and it's tough to get everything in, and so yeah.
Yeah. DM us on any of the, there's a lot of room for dialogue in every, platform that we're on. So, yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah.